Hi, it's KCCK's Culture Crawl. I'm Dennis Green, and Tim Hankiewicz is back.
Hi there.
Fresh from playing along with the soundtrack to Home Alone. He's still kind of perspiring from that experience.
From one extreme to the next,
But this is the next in the Masterworks series.
Right.
So this is Home Alone. Great fun.
Great fun.
Great fun, but also challenging.
Yes.
But now we are into the meat of what an orchestra does. And this one in particular, because this is Beethoven's third. This is an important symphony.
It's
is it not?
It's an important work. So it's fun. Thank you for saying it's how difficult it is, because the Home Alone set was difficult in one way, just being precise and fitting the music with the film. This particular program is difficult musically, and now the orchestra has to breathe amongst themselves, because live music making is an organic, living, breathing entity. And so people always give the conductor credit for a performance, or the blame, often rightly so. But it's really a collective performance, because musicians are constantly listening to each other, reacting to each other, not just reacting to what I do, but what each other does. And so this is the occasion where the orchestra can really strut its considerable stuff.
And you've got just a stellar guest artist,
Melissa White. Oh, she's amazing, and she's been to this neck of the woods quite often.
We've had the Harlem Quartet in studio a couple of times when they were here for that's her quartet that she tours nationally and internationally.
And indeed, we had the Harlem Quartet as one of our featured guests either last season or the season before. It's not very often that you have a quartet and orchestra piece, and I remember we were doing that, a work by Michael Abels, but she was standing 2 feet away from me. So so I was listening to this gorgeous playing, and I thought, my goodness, we got to bring her back. But getting to the meat of this particular program, there are two ways you can put a program together. One is by theme, and one is by works that complement each other in style. For those who came to our first 2 concerts of the year, when we had the Gershwin Rhapsody in Blue, it was kind of an American history fusion, sort of how we found an American concert sound by fusing jazz with Broadway, with klezmer and other popular idioms. And then our second masterworks with East versus West, or meets West, in that it was kind of a Silk Road kind of project where Asian, Eastern, and Western musical traditions were fused together. This particular program is about works that complement each other. So you can actually think of me as a chef or a cook putting ingredients together that actually complement each other. The first piece on the program is Barber's first essay. Barber being one of the great American composers of the 1950s, who had a signature style of being very romantic. Kind of stoic, maybe a little bit melancholy as well. But he was always vilified during his time for writing, this shamelessly romantic sounding music, when everybody was writing all this thorny stuff that people just audience-repellent kind of music. And now who's laughing now? Because everybody is just dying to play the music of Samuel Barber. And so this first essay of his just kind of sets the tone of this luscious, gorgeous, romantic music. That is complemented by the violin concerto, the Bruch Goddess Fantasy, which we'll get into. And then the last piece, which is Beethoven's Third Symphony, that was kind of the work that really started the quote-unquote romantic movement in music. Before Beethoven wrote this Third Symphony, symphonies were designed to be forgotten. Haydn would write 104 of them, Mozart 41 of them, and they were designed for a specific occasion or two, and then kind of tossed in the bin and come up with something new. Whereas Beethoven, when he wrote, he said, "Nope, this is going to be my legacy. This is my path to immortality. This is going to survive me and be my legacy." And so, as a result, you've got a symphony, in this case, lasting 45, 50 minutes, which at that time was unheard of. So the thread that goes through all these pieces is just sort of this embrace of romanticism.
And so we've talked about the Barber, we've talked about the Beethoven, and we've talked about Melissa. But now the violin concerto, which she will be playing on.
This
tell us about that piece.
This is near and dear to my heart, because a long time ago, when I had a whole lot more hair and I was a studying conductor, this was the first piece I ever conducted.
Really?
Yeah. And what's great about this particular concerto is that it is as much a harp concerto as it is a violin concerto. And thanks to the generosity of Julie Thomas, Dr. Julie Thomas, our symphony harp had, it was no longer usable.
You have a brand new harp.
We have a brand new harp because of her, because of Dr. Julie Thomas, and this is kind of the maiden voyage for it. So you've got to see this incredible instrument. So we're showcasing the harp with this wonderful violinist in this piece. And it's called the Scottish Fantasy for a really good reason. It quotes a lot of Scottish tunes, and it just drips with lyricism, and it's just so shamelessly gorgeous and just fun. It's my wife's favorite concerto, and it still has a very special place in my heart. I haven't done it since my student years, and it is so. It just makes me smile. I was just studying it the other day again, just getting ready for our rehearsals, and I was just like, it not only does it take me back, it just makes me smile, and it'll make the audience smile too, because it's just so luscious.
So, well, let me ask you about Scottish music then. Yeah. Because you said this references a lot of Scottish themes.
Yep.
When I think of classical or symphonic music, Scotland is not the first place that comes to mind.
Yes,
so
that's true.
Is it? Is there a history of Scottish composers that I'm not aware of?
There are some, but not in the very popular pantheon like the Beethovens. But Mendelssohn visited the Hebrides Islands and created a couple of great overture of that same name. The composer Max Bruch, a German composer, but he spent most of his career in the UK. And so he'd be traveling around all over the island, and this was sort of his souvenir postcard when he was visiting Scotland. Now, Scotland has always had, like all cultures, have this sort of vast repertoire of folk
music, folk tunes that people identify.
Yeah. The ones he selected were not the top 10. But they are the kinds that, if you really went into the sticks of Scotland and started playing some of these, you would get somebody coming out just with, tears in their eyes. But it's just that typical sort of Celtic, Scottish beauty that's just incredible. And so anyway, getting back to the composer, Max Bruch, who was a contemporary of Brahms. And in fact, they used the same master violinist to inform their writing. I think you could arguably say that the two greatest composers of violin concertos during their time would have been Johannes Brahms and Max Bruch.
And as we said, you don't get much better on the soloist than Melissa White.
Oh my God! And she's such a sweet person, such a beautiful, gorgeous musicianship. It's just, I'm so looking forward to this.
A Romantic Fantasy with Orchestra Iowa, featuring Melissa White and the brand new harp.
And the brand new harp, yes.
But most importantly, Jill Hankiewicz's favorite violin concerto. That's
absolutely. That's the endorsement, yes.
So coming up this Saturday and Sunday at the Paramount Theater on Saturday, and at CCPA.
The Coralville Center for the Performing Arts at 2:00 on Sunday. Come when you're in Cedar Rapids. If you come early at 6:45, we have our pre-concert discussion. We call it Insights, and it's sort of behind the scenes. I get to talk to the soloist, and we do talk about the music. We talk about other things. It's very informative. We do the same in Coralville as well. So if you come an hour early, across the street at West Music, we gather around there and do the exact same thing. So it's very popular. So come and check out the soloist and see what they have to say, and get a behind-the-scenes take on what's going to happen in concert.
Tickets and more information at?
Sure, at orchestraiowa.org.
All right, Tim, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
You can hear The Culture Crawl live on the radio most weekdays at 10:30, on demand at kcck.org/culture, or subscribe using your favorite podcast player. Watch our videos on the KCCK Facebook and YouTube channels. Our producer is Lydia Kilgore. The Culture Crawl theme is composed by Vivian Shanley. I'm Dennis Green, and I'll talk to you later.